Good afternoon. I'm Daniel Miller. And this is the Gaming Dialogue News. A warm welcome to all of our friends, fans, community members, participants, and everyone watching us on a variety of different platforms worldwide. Thank you for being here with us today, and thank you for supporting us. Myself personally, this channel, and everything we do here with our community members. Most importantly, thank you for supporting our charitable fundraiser. Presently, we are raising funds for a British-based charity called Mind. And this is a charity that helps people with mental health issues, anyone experiencing emotional pressure, psychological difficulty, or anything else which is related to their family life or, relationships with other people. And they have lots of different offices around the country, in Britain that is, and they provide services through individual and group counselling. They have volunteers and professionals working for the organisation, and you can approach them at any time free of charge, book an appointment, and make sure you receive a lot of advice, both in terms of your emotional health and as well as something to do with your difficulties on the practical level. If you require assistance with finding a new home, or trying to get the state to pay some benefits, or having any other issue, you can always resort to them in order to give you the best possible direction. That is not just for that day, but to give you a direction in life. So therefore, we are supporting Mind and trying to raise as much publicity and revenue as possible. If you're one of those people who knows somebody who is in that situation, then please donate generously. And as soon as you donate, the funds will go directly to Tiltify to Mind, so they'll receive them straight away. And the more we generate, better it will be for the organization. And as you know, we are going to be making sure that the charity is going to be able to grow, to develop, and to do everything else in the future. They'll be able to select a few more people to work for them, maybe get some new offices, maybe expand on some of the services, and that will be of huge benefit to everyone, and most important to those people who are using their services to get better, to find a new direction in life, to rebuild their fractured mind, and to find a new home, and to be able to communicate to others, feel better about themselves and their life, and get back on their feet. So thank you for that if you supported us already. If not, just click on that follow and click on that share and spread the word. The charity will greatly appreciate your assistance, and anyone who is going to be reading the postings on social networks of yours or of our friends are going to be introduced to these services. So thank you for that. Right. So today, not a very good day. Drizzly, cold, and we've gone back from bright summer sunshine to drizzly old English weather. So we have, the usual rain and mist and a bit of fog and a bit of wind as well. I've got to say, when I went out last night, it was a bit breezy, although I was there walking in my shorts, but hopefully it will brighten up. We'll get back to the hot days soon. And so what are you doing, guys? Are you enjoying some sunshine? What's the weather like where you are? Are you somewhere in our vicinity in the London suburbs, or are you living around the country or around the world? I know lots of people are watching us from Australia, from New Zealand, from South Africa, from Korea, from Singapore. Some people from, many people from the United States, of course, our Destiny veterans, and many other countries: Finland, Iceland, Denmark, Sweden, Germany, France, Croatia, Poland. The list just goes on. So I want to say hello to everyone and wish you all a very, very good and successful day. That's most important. And also wish you a lot of great online gaming experience with your friends and fans and your community members, your channels, and generally with your crews. It doesn't matter what game you play. Gaming is all about commonality. It's about communal spirit. It is about being able to make new friends from wherever you are, friends who are living in another part of the world. Join forces with them in order to defeat the beasts, and most importantly to chat. So every one of our big games like Warzone, like Destiny, like Elder Scrolls Online, Apex become like a big social networking platform. We all meet there every day. We talk about our issues and activities. We share our views on everything. And I guess you would have seen that here on my channel if you participated in our live online sessions. Presently, I'm not streaming my games, Destiny in particular, on everyday basis, and I'm still working on the schedule, the new schedule, through which I'll be able to deliver everyday streams. And I told you yesterday, I think, that the plan is to stream in a way which is similar to the old, and that will be from 10 o'clock in the morning. We'll see then, 4 hours, 5 hours of regular streams, 5 days a week. We'll see how it goes. I know that is going to be making it difficult for some of our US-based friends, but unfortunately, I think that's probably the best time for me to accommodate. I have had some streams later in the day, and I've got to say that they were not particularly successful in terms of the overall participation. I think lots of people are busy, our usual viewers, with their families and with their other activities after 5 o'clock, so that didn't seem to be a kind of a group of people who would be coming to visit us on a regular basis. And even more so, it's very important that we get the regulars for the charitable fundraising that is presently being run here on the channel. Anyway, it will be hit and miss initially. We'll go back to the old, and then we'll see how everything is going to indeed unravel. Most importantly, you've seen that the channel has a different format, so I'm presenting you with podcasts and news in a separate section. So this is all subject and topic based, and then our gaming sessions are very much about being together in a game, although sometimes we'll discuss other issues. But the lengthy 120 minute sections dedicated to the news and other topics is now extracted, and I'm doing that on my PC in this format, which is basically our daily gaming news as well as podcasts. And that's been so far so good. I'm happy with the way it's come across. I'm happy with the overall experience that people are having, and generally I am happy with your responses and the fact that you like the idea. And many of you are quite busy during your working hours, then watch and listen to my podcast on VOD or through playback. So I've seen quite a significant increase on that level here on my channel, not just on Twitch, but also through YouTube and Twitter. So I'm very grateful to everyone who's been listening and providing me with some ideas and comments and news. Just keep them coming. I really enjoy reading whatever you experienced, and that means the good and the bad. If there are things which you do not like, just please tell me, and we'll be able to debate, and I'll be able to adjust and correct whatever appears to be not particularly enjoyable. And the discussions are always about one and the other. They're not just about one thing. So I greatly appreciate your participation, and as always, anything to do with Destiny or Apex or Warzone or any other game that we had previously streamed here on the channel, your comments and views on the novelties or changes will be greatly appreciated. We always talk about them here on air, and as you could see with my podcasting and news, this is still early days, but in the future we'll have some guests and we'll talk openly about certain topics and try to get as much interactivity as possible. I really had to make sure that my streams on separate platforms were technically sound, that everything was as it should be, and it is taking me a bit of time. I'm not really as tech savvy as some other people, and I'm learning, and I think the products were quite good. I've listened to quite a few of those podcasts, and they seemed to be audible, and they had, I'd say, high quality content with lots of news and other ideas being given to you. So that's been satisfactory. For the streams, we'll have to consider what the community will want to see, and whatever I do here is tied in with charitable fundraising, and you've seen we have some milestones and some tasks and some quizzes and some polls, and all of that is based on what people are contributing. So for instance, if you were to contribute £50 or £100 and we reach that target, then that group of people that was involved with donations and participation will come in and decide on what types of activities we'll have on the channel. So it's very interactive, very community based, and will do literally everything according to the community members' wishes. That includes what armor to wear, what weapons to use, what activities to pursue, what kinds of streams we'll have. And then we'll have some streams together with our community live on air, which is specifically dedicated to charitable fundraising. Well, all of that takes time, and it does require a lot of attention and support. So I'm very grateful to everyone who's been offering it and providing it right from the start. You will know, if you are a regular, that I had some serious difficulties of late. I had developed sciatica, which was affecting me physically, and I've not been able to deliver my streams in a regular format. And also, in addition to that, my father, who's very old, he's 91, had been having serious problems with his health, and therefore I had been providing primary care for him for quite some time. So all of the planning and everything we talked about in the course of the last summer had to be seriously delayed and postponed, but we are getting there eventually, and I think the plan is exactly as it was then. It's just a question of being able to bring in the tech that's necessary for that to be made possible, and then come up with a schedule and a plan that will be both workable and enjoyable for everyone to listen to and or to participate in. And that's exactly what we've come up with of late. So the regular game streams will come back from next week, and I look forward to that. We'll combine Destiny 1 and Destiny 2 as the main games, which have been here present right from the beginning, and then on request we can do some other ones. Apex and Warzone are the games that I have in mind, as we have already large communities attached to the activity in those titles, and Destiny 1 and 2 will remain the backbone of the channel. We've done everything here through Destiny, and that is the way it is going to be. Also, what's very important is Destiny have a department called Bungie Foundation. I should say Bungie have a department rather than Destiny, which is called Bungie Foundation, and they are providing services for charities, and they also run fundraising events as well as requesting and collecting donations. So if you are a person who wants to help very ill children, then you can simply go to Bungie Foundation and donate at any time. It doesn't have to be an event or a charitable fundraiser for you to donate. The donors buttons and the sections for the donors are present 24/7 on their website, but that's not Bungie. You know, it's Bungie Foundation. It's a separate section of the company, and just feel free to come in, have a look, join forces with the rest of us, and also come in once we start running charitable fundraisers for them. They have periods of about a week or 10 days, a couple of times a year, where the funds are being raised for that purpose, and they help children's hospitals with technology and equipment that makes possible for those children to play games and communicate with others. And that includes tablets and phones and consoles and internet connections and you name it. So those kids in a situation where for the first time they're taken away from their parents, they go to hospital because suffering from serious illness, are not going to be feeling alone, and they'll have the tech and the equipments available for them to contact friends, family, schoolmates, mums and dads, and feel not alone, you know. And for them that is priceless. That's most important. Going to hospital feeling anxious about what will happen next. You've never been away from your home as a child, and suddenly you can talk to your parents, you can play games, you can engage with Xbox Game Pass, you can play Destiny, you can talk about Guardians. The hospital stay, particularly if it's a lengthy one, becomes a much more bearable, much more amicable type of experience. So remember that and donate generously. Okay, so how's everybody today? What are you guys doing? You up and about? You've been out at all? Gone for strolls? Enjoyed your weather? Played football? Listened to music? Watched Eurovision? What did you do? So ping us a message, send us a tweet, tell us whatever has been going on for you. Tell us, most importantly, about the games which you are currently playing, whether you are enjoying some of those new titles, whether you've been exploring Little Kitty Big City, Tomb Raider, or any other game that I've been recommending. That's been currently here on my console, and just tell us about your gaming experience overall. Always great to hear. So today we'll just dive into the news immediately. I know I've talked about my recommendations and various other things, and today we'll be just looking at whatever's come on the wire. There have been quite a few things arising, and the overall chatter about Xbox and the closure of the studios has been, I guess, disappearing, getting diluted somewhat in recent days. People accepted these new realities, and I'm still hearing and getting some feedback on this through various networking hubs, but I think the anticipation of what's to happen next is still brewing. People are worried about the jobs and worried about whether other companies will do exactly the same. And I kept saying this several times again and again. Many disclosures are connected to the cost, and the cost is generally also linked to the cost of living. These companies use an enormous amount of energy. You know, the energy bills are phenomenally high, and we've seen that some of the titles have not been selling too well. So there is a connection between the way things are in the wider community and the way that affects the developers. But still, I believe that those people who work for these companies will need to have a proper notice. They will need to be informed about the development well in time. And nothing should ever be done suddenly overnight for them to be losing their livelihoods and ending up, without anything. I wouldn't say out on the street, but without the work which they had been doing for quite a long while. And sometimes this is not necessarily connected with the success of a particular title they worked on. Some of these companies are fairly big and have major expenditures. And also, ever since some of those studios became part of the Microsoft umbrella of Xbox Game Studios, there are different tasks and responsibilities which they've undertaken. And I'm just very sorry to see that the creative community is now living in fear. There are so many redundancies everywhere, which really pains me to see. It's devastating, it's gut-wrenching, and I never wanted to see any of that sort of thing happening in the studios which are part of that Xbox Game Studios group. But sadly, it's taken place, and we are wondering what policy Xbox and Microsoft will be pursuing in order to strengthen the quality of the titles and the things which they will be able to offer. And that is basically the official statement, the reason for the redundancies and for the closures. And there's been a lot of speculation in the gaming circles on what direction that is likely to be. And I've listened to the IGN Unlocked podcast the other day, and they all kind of thought, Destin and Ryan and the other people, that Xbox is losing the plots, because one minute they're saying one thing, and then a few months later there's some other direction taken, and things which are happening are completely contradicting everything that's been said and done early in the year. I don't really agree with that. I think it's taking it to an extreme. I think the direction is quite clear, but what is also visible is the problems with the cost and the overall running costs of such services. Microsoft has stretched themselves somewhat with cloud and cross-platform access and various other services which are currently in operation, and there is a difficulty. There is a difficulty if you are investing a huge amount into marketing campaign of a certain title, and then that is not paying off or it backfires. There's going to be that collateral. But as I said, it's not the question of necessarily why. It's more to do with the way the whole thing is handled and the way we as the consumers or investors are being told the truth and given the real reasons as to why certain things were taking place. And that itself is essential if you are to be retaining your membership of followers and gamers and people who are associated with your entity, and also if you want to be making them feel confident about whatever is happening in a company. We don't want to be supporting anything which is wrong, criminal or unethical. We want to be always on the good side of things. And I think the current situation that's been visible here, I should say there at Microsoft Studios, has been raising eyebrows literally throughout the entire gaming community. Them being the biggest corporation, having the greatest number of studios, you know it all. But we have seen that with Sony, there have been some issues, perhaps not as visible, as public as these ones were with Microsoft. But there's a huge worry about certain studios which are under their umbrella perhaps being also under huge duress because they're not able to produce the titles quick enough, the ones that are required for the company to make those sales and attract further interest. So the first thing I tell you today is again somewhat connected to the current trends, and we've heard from Insider Gaming that the big worry at Sony is that PlayStation 5 sales are dropping, and they're quite significant. They said that the figures have gone down by 29%. Well, that is a surprise to me, but on the other hand, the console has been around already for a while. Many people had bought it, and there comes a point where you feel, well, we are just bottoming out. We are not going to be able to sell anymore because people have got those consoles, and the consoles are working, therefore they're quite happy, and we are not attracting any new buyers in any other markets. So they reported officially that the sales have dropped 29%, and that is sold 20.8 million units in FY23. So that is below Sony's previously revised estimates, and they were hoping to be selling 21 million units. But 20.8 million, 21 million, this is not a major difference, but it's a huge difference for the investors, because they'll see there's a mismatch between the projected figure and what's actually happened. And at that point, investors start pulling out the capital, start selling shares, and therefore the company's money, the capital value, goes down. It's just the way that I was explaining that a few days ago in one of my sessions. Somebody asked me, well, what's this whole thing about shareholders? Why are they so important? Well, they're fundamental to any well-being of these companies, because these companies are based on shareholding. The value of the capital, the health of the company is based on that degree of investment. It's not like they would be making a product and then expecting the sales and then later sharing the profit of the sales and amongst each other. It just doesn't work like this. It's a different sort of ballgame, and sadly, it's very much dependent on whether the projections match the actual results and whether the actual results will be exceeding the projections. And as we've seen in recent times, it was always the other way around. The actual results were not as good as the ones which were projected, and that itself is a huge concern to some of the guys who run these companies. So they confirmed last year, or I should say announced, that PlayStation 5 is entering its kind of later stages of this generation, and they were saying that they were a bit skeptical about the overall market growth. And as of June 2022, the PlayStation 4 sold 117 million units, and the reason for that is that the prices have dropped somewhat, and the PlayStation 5 had sold 52.6 million units as of now. So you really have to put in perspective how long has the other console been around and how many markets had it penetrated over the years compared to the new. So one shouldn't really take it too far and create some sort of rather inoperable conclusions. So even with 18 million units sold for the next 3 years, when the PlayStation 6 is expected to be released, the numbers suggest that the console market isn't growing. Well, there are many reasons for this. One reason is the overall price. PlayStation 5 is extremely expensive. It's a lot more expensive than Xbox consoles. And then you also have now a surge of mobile gaming and a lot of games being accessible on tablets and mobile phones. That will be affecting somebody's desire to be in possession of a console. And some people, particularly if they travel a couple of hours a day to work and back, they will pull out their phone. It's like really compatible, it's practicable, it's small, you can travel anywhere with your phone, and then they'll play certain games on the phone. So that could be affecting the sales or the drive to be in possession of a console. I guess consoles as they stand today, they're not just a console, they also give you access to TV programs, to music, to various other services, to internet. So it can be used as a mini computer very successfully. In fact, I've not been using my desktop for some time, so I've been able to resort to tablets and mobile devices as well as everything on my consoles, and that's also a serious consideration. So it's the development of the tech that's affecting the way people are going to be using certain services, and whether they will feel driven to the purchase of certain types of consoles or certain types of gadgets. So overall, the figure is not particularly rosy for Sony, but we've seen that Xbox had complained about exactly the same problem. So, you know, it's widespread in the industry. We can't be expecting these figures to rise at all times, and they will really have to consider what to offer in order to generate the confidence in the market and the consumers, and in order for lots of people to be going back and purchasing the new inventions or the new tech. And don't forget, with the Microsoft and I guess Sony to a degree swinging towards PC access of the streaming services, they're also making it easier for people who don't want to buy a console to access the same services, the streaming services for the gaming on the PCs and laptops. And that also is changing then the mindset and the need to be purchasing a console. You know, like in the old days, you want to play a game, you had to have a computer. There weren't consoles about. You had to buy a computer, a PC, and then purchase a game which was PC compatible, and then play the game. And frequently you buy a game in the store, you go back to play it on your computer, and the game was not compatible with your system. The system wasn't good enough for the game, and therefore you couldn't play it. So you paid 30, 40, 50 pounds for the game, and you could just put it in the bin because it's not going to play on a computer. It's just absolute dreadful times. I remember those, and I've got to say, I've not had many computer games that didn't work on my PC because I had a really high quality PC. But when that happened, it's just absolutely infuriating. You go livid. And that's never happened with consoles. You buy a 360 or, I don't know, Xbox original disc, you stick it in, and it always works, unless it's physically damaged. Even the physically damaged discs worked. So, you know, as we carry on, our priorities change. And I think the manufacturers of these consoles will need to be fully aware of the way things really are. Just want to add an important fact to this. You see, these consoles, Xbox and PlayStation, they're very dependent on what you can access to the internet and the internet speed. Bear with me a second. So, I don't know what's happening. I've got no mute on my mic. I need to work out a strategy through which I'll have this permanently, so I can just mute my mic and there's no problems with me humming and, you know, clearing my throat or anything else being recorded. But it's a challenge. I need to find a method through which this will be possible, as this mic does not have this button. So there you are. Anyway, coming back to this, I lost track of my thought, which is not particularly good. Yeah, I was going to say that the consoles are dependent on what they can access through the live service and what services they're providing in what country. So Sony and PlayStation, they have got the services online, like for instance the streaming platform, which is more accessible in many more countries than Xbox. And I can tell you that I've taken my Sony PS4 to various European countries, and I was able to access my UK account and play my PlayStation services. That was PlayStation Now it's called PlayStation Plus, and there's been no problems. So that was really working in my favor and in favor of Sony. And the console, I went everywhere and I was able to access my account and pretty much get all the services. That's not been the case with Xbox. Xbox does not work in the countries where the live services are not fully supported. So I've seen during the last couple of years that initially I was not able to use cloud anywhere but in Britain. But recently I was able to access cloud on some of the games, albeit not on all of them. And, you know, it's just one of those things they really need to seriously consider. You need to make those services accessible in every single country, and therefore your sales will get better. Not a living soul in sight will want to be buying a console which in fact is dependent on your live server access, and it will not work in your country. Guess why? Because they do not support those services in this country. So, you know, it's insane to be imagining that your consoles will be selling worldwide if you're not providing those services for a specific number of countries where, you know, the services are not accessible. And that's a serious stumbling block. And I've got to say, I'm astonished. After reading so many different postings on Twitter and Reddit related to this subject and to this difficulty, that the executives of either Sony or particularly of Xbox have not made a single remark about that, which is a critical factor if you're examining how well you're selling. I'm not sure whether they just think that the entire world is in America. I mean, obviously, Xbox is a console which was made and invented in the US. But, you know, it's being created for the global markets, and the global markets will have to be accessing those live services. And if they can't access live services, then there's going to be, you know, no sales. Why on earth would I want to be investing, I don't know, 300 euros, 500 euros in order to purchase these consoles if they're not going to be working in the country of my residence? You know, it's insane. And these factors are affecting the sales of consoles. So very, very important for the executives to consider this in addition to everything else. You know, they imagined you play games on your mobile and everything is going to be fine. So you basically take a controller, connect your mobile to the controller. It's not the same thing. The screen on a mobile is tiny. If you're playing Destiny or Fallout, it's too small. I mean, some people might be happy with it, but if you are enjoying your gameplay on 60, 70, 80 inch, it's not the same thing. Maybe for some games it's okay, some very simple point-and-click games, or the games that do not have that kind of open world activity, or, you know, the very, very simple indie games which are also old school and do not require anything more than something which is very basic. But for the majority, that's not an option. So that will be affecting the whole project. You know, because, oh, that's fine, but the screen's too small. I don't see the details. I don't see what I need to pick up. And very useful if you're traveling. I have to say, I played quite a few games, so I was traveling in those countries where the cloud worked. But if you're traveling by coach or train, you enter one country, depart from another, and the whole service just drops because there isn't the support for that live service in that country. So, you know, I don't know why they're not talking about this. It's just blatantly obvious. I talked about so many times, both on my streams and postings on Reddit and Twitter, and it's not falling their fears. The community members say, of course, that's exactly why we are not wanting to buy it. And, you know, anyway, I'm telling you a bit about the issues as to why these consoles are not selling. And as I said, the issues for either the consoles are fairly different and they're significant, but the executives will need to really start tackling the core problem, and that is that the services which they provide and sell and advertise and promote and market actually are not accessible to everyone. How many times did you hear Phil Spencer say, we want people to be able to play games wherever they are at any time, any place around the world? Well, that's the ideal. But they're very, very, very far from that. I've heard from Digital Foundry, you know, the guys that are running one of the most important podcasts in industry. They can't access, they can't play the games through Microsoft Cloud services on their PCs and laptops. If the internet speed in the local area is not stellar, like tip-top, ultra-fast fiber, these services will not work properly. They're unplayable. They said, there's one guy saying that, you know, one of the hosts, he said, well, I live in central Germany and we don't have ultra-fast fiber in my local area, and therefore anytime I try anything on cloud, it's just crashing, lagging, it's unworkable, it's just it's nonsense. You know, we can't use the tool. He raised the point, you know, he said exactly the same things as you would have heard from me many times, that Microsoft, they need to be more and more concerned about that. You create this new technology, which means you have got to have the state-of-the-art, the latest, whatever is out there, and that includes the ultra-fast internet speeds, in order for that to work. And what happens if you purchase the console and you cannot access the ultra-fast speeds? Well, obviously, many things on that console, that includes several services, will not deliver. They will not work at all, or they will be working with significant impairment. You know, these are the things that need to be talked about, and I'm afraid I heard just something else, which I felt was not really in sync with my own personal experience. So another thing that's happened recently through Xbox is they decided to phase out completely the 360 store. And, you know, 360 had very, very many games, so now is the time to purchase some of them, either as digital downloads or as physical products, because they massively reduced the prices. They're doing like a massive big clearance, and in July they will close the store, so you'll not be able to purchase anything on 360 anymore. And you have loads of games really offered on a price that is discounted from, let's say, 65 to 95%. I'll give you a couple of examples. For instance, you can get Alien Rage, which is quite a good game. Don't know whether you played it. For 99 cents. That would be something like £1, I think, roughly. And Alone in the Dark, 374. Let me just see some heavyweights in there, some bigger titles. You can get Far Cry 4, $5.99, which is 80% discount. You can get, well, Kane and Lynch, Dead Men, I managed to get for 50 pence in CX. They're selling it for $2.99. You can get Panzer General, 99 pence. See if there's anything else, 99 pence. Rotastic, 99 pence. It's really good. Generally, I always buy things which are less than $1, you know. Doesn't matter what the game is, it just seems to me like less than a quarter of a cup of coffee if it was to be bought in a local cafe. I definitely want to invest. Yar's Revenge is 99 pence. Warworld, quite a good game, 99 pence. And Star Raiders, 99 pence. Rotastic, 99 pence. Panzer General, Allied Assault, 99 pence. Just give me 99 pence, just to give it. Hunter's Trophy 2 America, 99. Handball Challenge, 99 pence. Dogfight. So as you could see, loads of games on offer at very low prices, and now is the time to purchase them. I think anyone who's watching us in Britain, you will know that 360 games for some time have been greatly discounted in our CEX shops. CEX stands for Computer Exchange, and these are second-hand shops in Britain selling the equipment, like hardware as well as software and DVDs and Blu-rays and, you know, various all game formats, Nintendo, PC, Xbox and PlayStation. And they had their physical products on very low prices for quite some time. So I mean, you can obviously toy with the idea, go to CX and buy for £20 40 different games, each one of them costing 50 pence. Obviously the games are second-hand, they were used before. Some may or may not work depending on the quality or the condition of the discs. But the problem there is that you will need Xbox Series X or you will need Xbox One in order to play the discs. And also with backward compatibility, you know, sometimes it doesn't really perform too well. Generally, what happens is you stick the disc in, then you get the download, which is a backward compatibility file, and then you play the game. I find generally with the ease of use that when I've gone down the route of purchasing digital downloads, then everything worked. And if there was, and actually I didn't have a single problem. Anything I purchased on digital downloads, it always worked. I never had a single hiccup. And I did have some hiccups, minor ones, obviously, on some of those backward compatibility downloads after I used my discs. And so I did buy a few games, which I in fact do have on discs, in order to have them accessible from any place on the planet. Don't forget, the difficulty with the discs is you have got to have the discs with you. They're not stored digitally on cloud, and I don't know why. I really talked about it for quite some time. I really feel that any disk should also have a full storage on cloud. Meaning, if you don't have the disk with you, let's say from Britain I go to Ireland or go to Germany, want to play Assassin's Creed 1, 2, 3, which have been on my discs, I can't play them unless I've got that disc with me. Alright? That's annoying, because the disc could be uploaded. I mean, honestly, why not? It could be uploaded to the cloud, and then you can access it from there. But you know, they keep coming back to the copyright laws, to the licensing, to the legal ownership of the discs, and all of that. It just seems to be so old school. It's so outdated. But at the same time, there is this monetary gain in the whole process, to which many people who get fed up with needing to carry all the discs, you know, you can probably take the discs out, don't have to have boxes, and you get one of the wallets, stick everything like a disc case, or you know, the one's got a few hundred of them, it doesn't occupy much space. Still, you've got to be carrying it, you've got to be thinking about the discs, and once they get fed up with this, they'll say, I just purchase everything now online, doesn't matter, I'm doubling up, these are my doubles, but I'll still have it on my account there, so wherever I go with my consoles, I'll be able to to play these games. Do you see what I mean? So there is still some monetary thinking about people needing to buy extras, as has been the case more severely present with the Sony PlayStation gamers, as they do not have backward compatibility. So, I just think this is completely outdated. Considering the way the tech is today, we really need to have a system which is allowing every game you purchased ever, and once you had placed it in your console, needs to be registered with a code, which would be on code on cloud, and therefore you can access it knowing that is your copy and that is the game that you legally own. I'm reminded of the way things were in music industry. They did what we call ostrich syndrome. They just ignored the new technology and they kept pushing the prices, and they kept the prices of DVDs and CDs extremely high, up to the point where, the rats emerged, basically. The sinking ship and the rats, that sort of thing. And then once they saw the rats, then they began to change certain things when it was already massively too late. It's ridiculous to see that these kinds of things are not observed just because somebody wants to have some gains somewhere. And the gains are not significant. I mean, if the games were around for like 10-15 years, what's the big deal? I mean, think about GOG. This is goodoldgames.com. They purchased everything that didn't have any license at a time where such games were seen as of no interest to anyone. And today they're collector's items, and the archive of games which they purchased is phenomenal. And it's just somebody was not thinking ahead, and therefore these kinds of things are taking place. Obviously very good for GOG, very good for us as gamers, because we can access those games today in a similar fashion to what you would have had in cases where you bought discs, compared to the PCs, like I described earlier, where discs were 100% compatibility with any console. Your console, obviously, if you bought the disc sets for 360, you plugged it in, you placed it in, and it played without any difficulty. So, the old games had many problems with different computer systems, but on GOG, when you purchase it, it works on every computer because it's patched. And that is the way it needs to be. They need to really wake up and create systems that will be providing services for everyone, and there will be state-of-the-art systems which are compatible with the present day and age, and not something that is still connected to the past. Right, let's see what other news we've got there. We have news on Helldivers. So Helldivers is a huge success. It sold more than 12 million copies, and that's literally within like 1 million copy a week. They said 12 weeks, 12 million copies. So that's a very, very huge success for the developer. And it's been confirmed that 12 million copies have been sold within the first 12 weeks. That's the first 3 months. And they had like a major investor call. And Sony said Arrowhead's PlayStation 5 and PC live service shooter is massively successful. It far exceeded the expectations. And it is having very, very impressive sales. Reached like a major milestone on May the 5th, and they said Helldivers 2 now is beating out Sony Santa Monica's God of War Ragnarok, which hit 11 million copies in 75 days, and this game was able to do that in only 12 weeks. So that's a huge success, and definitely another record broken. And you heard that there was a problem with cross-platform access, and then they wanted everyone to join to create Sony PlayStation accounts, and all of that has been now resolved. And it's an expensive game. It's not accessible on streaming platform, costing $40, and it's just like massive popularity, hugely popular, and it's a PvP game, and people obviously loving it. So good news for Arrowhead, Helldivers, and for Sony. And I've not tried it. I've not even watched any walkthroughs, but I've not watched any Twitch streams of Helldivers. I don't really like watching streams of the games which I'm intending to play, because it kind of spoils it for me. I really like being there myself and like to sort of step in and find out for myself what the game's like and go through the motion either of learning how to operate as a guardian or whatever character there is, or indeed to find out more about the story, the environment and everything else. And the big news that I received today is about game updates. You will know that on Xbox and on PlayStation you can leave your consoles on the option through which they can charge and upload and download whilst they're switched off, and it's a power saving type of option. And it's not actually power saving option, what I'm saying, it's the other. And they said that from in the near future Xbox will have the capacity to allow gamers to be preloading updates, so similar to games. So you can basically click on the preload, and as soon as it comes out it will be updating your game, rather than yourself doing it manually or you needing to access the game and therefore receiving that update. So let me see just a bit how this will work. The information would have come to me from Xbox, and they said that this is going to be offered through the alpha ring, so that is for people who are the insiders. And that already kicked off. Let me see, what's the date? May the 13th. Okay, so that's from yesterday. And if you want to enable it, you need to go to the option called Keep My Console Up to Date, and then it will download automatically, or you can go and find the option where you can do this manually. But it's a new thing, and we need to see how we need to see how the whole thing will work. And I think it's a good idea. I much enjoyed now everything being uploaded, downloaded and fully installed whilst I'm asleep, compared to the old where I had to be doing this manually. And particularly a streamer, and you're not aware of any update being launched, and you're about to go into your stream, and then the game tells you need to be doing this upload, and update needs to be applied, and then you have to wait for a certain amount of time. Sometimes it's a few minutes, but most of the times for the big games it's a lengthy period of time, which is affecting your schedule and everything else. And coming back to Sony and what I said earlier, they are talking about the new era of Sony Entertainment, and they are talking about doing it in a way which is completely different. So later this month, that's probably towards the end of this month, they are going to be running a presentation in which everything is going to be explained. So we've heard that from their director. So let me just see what he said and what the conclusion of all of that has been. So yeah, so that's basically coming from Hiroki Totoki. He's the boss of Sony, and he had sent this message to everyone who works for Sony, right? So that's to the employees. So I'll read this out for you, and you'll get a very good picture on what Sony are going to be doing. It brings me great pleasure to announce that I have decided on the succession strategy for the role of CEO at SIE. Over the last decade, SIE has grown tremendously, building upon our continuous success in hardware, software and services through a sharper focus on player engagement. To continue this massive growth and momentum, we are moving forward with a new management structure for SIE. Effective June the 1st, so that's in a couple of weeks, Hideaki Nishina will be appointed CEO of SIE's Platform Business Group, and Herman Hulst will be appointed CEO of SIE's Studio Business Group. Effective the same date, I will step down from my current role as interim CEO and become chairman of SIE, in addition to my roles at SGC. Both Herman and Nishio-san will report to me as SIE chairman. Nishino-san will continue his role leading the Platform Experience Group, overseeing technology, product, services and platform experience. He will also oversee third-party publisher and developer relations and commercial operations, and that will include sales and marketing of hardware, services and peripherals. Herman will continue to lead the SIE Studios business, including PlayStation Studios, Bungie and PlayStation Productions. He will be responsible for the development, publishing and business operations of SIE's first-party content, so that's the developers that work directly for them, as well as IP expansion opportunities through PlayStation Productions. So later this month you will learn more about this long-term vision for Sony Group and the essential role SIE plays in that vision. As I mentioned previously, FY24 marks the start of the mid-range plan period for Sony Group, in which we are going to be setting the course for sustainable growth. Underneath of that, there could be cuts, so that's really lurking from the shadows. The future is incredibly bright for SIE, and that is thanks to all of you. Since I became chairman in October 23, I have been inspired by your enthusiasm, innovative approaches, and teamwork. These values will serve us well as we embark on the exciting future for SIE. Please join me in congratulating Lishna-san and Herman on their new roles. So that's come directly to me from Sony Interactive, right? That SIE, you're wondering what that is, that stands for Sony Interactive Entertainment. That's comprising lots of different services. So it's not just like it was in the past, right? So Sony Interactive Entertainment, the abbreviation is SIE. Right, so, a lengthy statement for the employees, but said very little about the actual changes, right? So they're talking about everything looks very, very bright, and they're developing and everything is as it should be. But we are not quite crystal clear on what changes we are going to be getting. We've heard about the changes of personnel, but what does that mean in terms of operational policy, the way this will affect everyone? Well, that remains to be seen. We have some more news coming from Eurogamer telling us something great, and I told you about this already a few days ago as I received some information from Xbox. Lords of the Fallen is joining Xbox Game Pass, and also Hellblade 2. So these are two very big games coming in, and then Immortals of Avium are also joining. You will recall that Immortals of Avium had a wonderful presentation last year, part of the showcase events, and it looked fantastic. I was probably grabbed more by that game than anything else I've seen within that section of the presentations, and then the game didn't deliver. It had major problems with the multiplayer, it had problems with the tech, and many other issues. So the game's been offered on a very low price in the meantime, and I also acquired it free of charge on PlayStation Plus recently. It was offered as a freebie. So I've not played it yet. Very curious to see how it works today, because it has been patched up and it worked on it for quite a bit. And just like I said, together with Lords of the Fallen and Hellblade, it will be arriving to the Game Pass. So let me see what the dates are, right? So Lords of the Fallen has been released in October, and it had some serious technical problems initially, and it's been also patched, and it's working quite well now on PC and consoles. And they also were applying a major update recently that was adding the mods for a roguelike challenge. So it'd be interesting to see whether that indeed works on consoles as well. I'm always reminded of Skyrim. Was it the Ultimate or the Anniversary Edition? It's got all the mods there, which were, I guess, created for the PC access, and it's just incredible. The game changes completely. You've got to try that one. Anyway, the games coming to Xbox Game Pass are Brothers: A Tale of Two Sons, and that's coming to cloud, console, and PC. That's already available. That's coming, I think, 2 days ago. Or yesterday. Chants of Sena, cloud, console, and PC on 15th of May. EA Sports NHL 24, accessible through Cloud EA Play, out on 16th of May. And then the game I just mentioned, Immortals of Avium, Cloud PC, Xbox Series X and S, EA Play, out on 16th of May. So that is arriving shortly. And then you have Senua's Saga Hellblade, 21st of May. Galactica, 23rd of May, moving up to 28th of May. Humanity, the game that's been, I think, already on PlayStation, if I'm not mistaken, out 30th May. That is on PlayStation streaming services. Lords of the Fallen on the 30th of May. Firework, great game. 4th of June, that's just on Xbox PC, Game Pass PC. Rolling Hills on 4th of June. So these are really, really good. And then there are some games departing from the service on the 31st of May. You still have a couple of weeks to play these. Shikari, A Colorful Tale, This is a game that I've been recommending to everyone. It's very, very enjoyable. A small, quirky indie game through which you are coloring different parts of your scenery, and then you are resolving some difficult puzzles. Very, very ingenious concept. I'd say very simple, but very entertaining. Farworld Pioneers, also disappearing. JoJo's Bizarre Adventure All-Star Battle, Pac-Man Museum Plus, Little Witch in the Woods, and Railway Empire 2. I'm reminded of the fact that Railway Empire 2 I've got to play. I'm really curious to see what this game's like. I'm not sure as to why I've not played it yet, but you know, all these titles coming in at all times, it just gets buried and I completely forgot about it. So these are the games that are arriving and then departing from the Game Pass. And let me see, there's been a lot of discussion on the exotic chests and the new exotic armor that's going to be coming to Destiny. But I told you all about this in my last few sessions, so I will not be elaborating today. If you're interested, just go to my Twitter and you have several videos indicating how this is going to work. It's not arrived yet. It'll come to us as the final shape is released. Then we hear from PC Gamer that Diablo 4 is finally the game that we wanted to have from the beginning. In other words, the phenomenal action RPG that everyone desired. So that is in response to the launch of the next season, that's Season 4, Loot Reborn, which is celebrating all that Diablo is about. So it's interesting, but they are saying that the new season is making it much more enjoyable. It's quite curious to see as to why. And let me see, just bear with me. So this is coming from PC Gamer, and they say a good action RPG should let you feel like you're breaking the rules and give you plenty of opportunities to change your mind on how you want to do it. Season 4's focus on Helltide will be giving you open world events that dump high-level demons into a region every hour, and that's built to surprise you. Helltides have always been Diablo's 4 best feature. They bathe an entire area of the map in blood and possess NPCs in nearby towns to get on their knees and worship the demons. Monsters are everywhere and are always slightly higher level than you, making Helltides just tough enough to keep your attention as you roam around collecting currency to open and loot chests. The Season 4 lacks a unique mechanic that will be just giving you massive powers like the robot spider from Season 3 or the vampiric powers in Season 2, but instead your job is to help a group of mercenaries from Diablo 2 who need to defend themselves from the Blood Maiden, a new summonable boss in Helltide. Your reward is a bunch of caches filled with gear that you normally find at maximum level, so that sounds very appetizing. I got my hands on a ring that automatically casts Corpse Explosion and a few other abilities on my Necromancer, and I was not planning to use that skill, but when life hands you an absurdly powerful unique item, well, your plans change and you will be making it you'll be making the use of it as long as possible. So that is very, very interesting. He says that the new in-game activity that came together with the season yesterday, I think, was it on Tuesday? No, actually on, yeah, it's come, it became live like during the last 24 hours, is something that is massively enhancing the game, and the game is now gathering pace with quality and the new gamers and everything. I think generally Diablo 4 has been having a much better reception compared to Diablo 3, which had a disastrous launch, and you know, it's been a game that everybody was anticipating and is certainly delivering. I played Diablo 4 on its alpha and beta, and they had also Server Slam, which was going to be saving all the information, allowing you to play again at that point once you purchased the full game, once it came out. And I also played a bit as the game was launched, but nothing significant, so I still need to get my teeth into Diablo 4 and explore the seasonal content and everything else that comes together with it. We have a new video coming from Digital Foundry, and what's very interesting is they're giving you a proper in-depth look on Fallout 4 next gen update. I did experience some difficulties during the last couple of weeks, so I'm just quite curious to see how they found it, whether it is working properly after all the patches and other things which were indeed applied. So Digital Foundry, the video is on my Twitter. Just go there, have a look. Not going to tell you anything about it. It's very interesting to watch, and the guys that run Digital Foundry are absolutely tip-top, so you definitely want to be watching that video. Then we have a bit more information. Let me see. Yeah, we already said about all the games that are coming to Xbox. We heard all about that. And then there has been some more information about Ubisoft's XDefiant, right? And this is the game that's been advertised last year during their showcase. And it's a PvP game that looked pretty good. I guess similar to other military style milsim PvPs. And they are now doing away with skill-based matchmaking. They said, we believe that no skill-based matchmaking is very important to a fun and varied game. So let me see how this would work. So the game is going to be released next week. I think it's on Tuesday. And they're just giving us a rundown on what we are likely to be expecting. And for the time being, they say the expectation is a Wild West scenario with every person for themselves, because apparently there is going to be no skill-based matchmaking in the casual playlist. So that's the commitment to transparency coming from Ubisoft. And they said what matchmaking would look like in a blog post, I should say, on their website. So they said the most important thing to know is there is no skill-based matchmaking, and our casual in our casual playlist, we believe that no skills-based matchmaking is paramount to a fun and varied game experience in the long term. Frankly, skill-based matchmaking means every casual game is repetitive, constantly repeating matches that are just as stressful and matched as ranked. So they said, avoided players restricts matchmaking between any players that you're currently avoiding or banned. Party size matches groups against those of a similar size. Region prefers the group players from the same region or language. Input device prefers players that use the same input method. Platform prefers players who use the same platform. So these are the settings on the algorithm. So when you're entering the game, you are going to be given these types of options. Or I should say, the options will be made for you, as you are going to be given certain players to squad up with. Well, that's interesting. I'm curious to see what will happen. XDefiant is coming out next week, so watch this space for more. Just one last bit of news for you. Let me see what we've got here. Well, we've got everything that indeed we wanted to cover. So, right, so that's quite interesting. In fact, I've run out of things to say. That is highly unusual, considering that there weren't that many interesting news arriving from the various sections of our video gaming industry, and it was all really connected to, well, the news from last week about the closure of the studios, and then the figures which were speculated on in terms of the sales of PlayStation and Xbox. And for me, the biggest news of this week really is linked to what games are going to be emerging on Xbox. And I really look forward to Hellblade. This is an amazing game, and I've seen some concept art and some clips from Senua's Saga, so I can't say that, yeah, I'm literally overly excited. I can't wait for the moment to arrive when the game is fully playable. Look forward to Lords of Fallen. Of course, I want to try the game as well. I've seen it on trailers and some gameplay. It looked very, very good. And then I'm interested about Immortals of Avium to see whether it's been patched up properly, whether it works as it should. And also Fallout 4 with the new next-gen update. I'll try it on both PlayStation and Xbox. I want to compare to see whether, you know, it works better on one console compared to the other. So these are the games that will be certainly on my consoles in no time. And want to ask you, are you feeling excited about these games? And are you going to be doing exactly the same, preloading Senua and preloading Lords of Fallen or Immortals of Avium or any other games? I'm also curious, in particular, other games are recommended and whether you are doing any of them and whether you're finding them as interesting as myself, particularly those quirky indie titles. Very curious to hear from you on your views and what you feel when you enter a title that perhaps you never heard of, you never tried before, but you find to be of interest and indeed as enjoyable and as entertaining as some of the AAA blockbusters. So anyway, what you do is just ping me a message, ping me a tweet, or send me a private message by email and tell me all about these games, whether you are finding them of interest, and I'll be absolutely delighted to hear from you all. And yet again, want to remind you, we are doing our charitable fundraiser here on the channel. We are supporting our British-based charity called Mind, a charity that helps people with mental health issues. And please donate generously and just go to our About page, click on a panel, you'll get all the information. And if you're not in position to donate, just make sure you spread the news, share, follow, provide some postings indicating as to why this charity is important on your social networking platforms, your Instagram, your Facebook, your Twitter, or anything else you use, Discord, bringing as many people as possible to get involved with any activities that Mind, in fact, provide, not just for the service users, and just make sure that their publicity and their profile is somewhat elevated so that many more people get to know more about it. And as to why it's so important to be investing and donating in such charities, and as to why we really are so dependent on the services that such organizations provide. So thank you for watching, thank you for listening. I hope you enjoyed some of my recommendations. I shall wish you all a very, very good day, and I shall see you all tomorrow.